Howdy friends, are you like me? Were you born between the years of 1967 and 1977? Are you what they call Generation X? This might be the luxury crossover hybrid for you. This is the 2021 Lexus NX 300h. And I'm going to tell you all about it and why, yes, it is related to the Toyota RAV4. It's not a Toyota RAV4. This powertrain gives you a combined 194 horsepower. I say combined because it's a hybrid, so gas engine mixed in with electric motors. Now, this setup is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, and there are not one but two electric motors in this. One that helps out the gas engine, and another one in the back powering the rear wheels, and we'll get to that in just a second. This setup, which is hooked up to an electronic CVT, continuously variable transmission, will give you 31 miles per gallon combined. Let's talk about design, because I wanted to point something out once again to people who are in my generation or who really like retro futuristic design. And I'm referring to an old movie that's called Damnation Alley. It had a really bizarre truck-like tank thing in it. And this front end looks almost identical to that design, which is a little in your face. Now, recently I did do a review on a Lexus UX, which had the same green color to it. But this vehicle, which is, by the way, based on the same platform as a Toyota RAV4, well, it looks a lot different. Yes, it certainly looks like a Lexus, but there's a lot more going on here. And honestly, compared to the other Lexus vehicles that I've driven, this one looks like it's a little disjointed with the front end design. Also, 6.9 inches of ground clearance. Now recently, wow, almost 4 years ago, I took one of these off-road back when we used to go up Goldmine Hill. It didn't do well. This is not an off-road vehicle, but it's decent on light dirt and snow. I actually like the back design on this. I think that for a Lexus that sort of sits in between the other crossovers that they offer, it looks somewhat aggressive. It's a Lexus, aggressive. Difficult when you're talking about a vehicle that is basically built for small families. But here's something that I really do like. Cargo area, pretty decent, about the same size as a Toyota RAV4, but it also looks nice. Looking at the presentation of this vehicle from the inside makes it worth the money. So even though it is a pricey vehicle, and even though it is based on the Toyota RAV4, everything on the inside of the vehicle makes it worth the price of admission. Now, I tried to get into the back of the UX sitting behind myself. I'm 6'1", and I couldn't do it. I literally could not even get into the car. But this, I got some pretty good knee room, and I have decent headroom. The seating position is comfortable, but here's the good news. Well, there you go. You can position the seat back as well. The overall comfort isn't too bad. Now, there is room for a third person here, but this is slightly elevated, and this juts out a little bit, so if they're tall, they're not going to be that comfortable. This is a great size, and it has a lot of things that are an improvement on its baby brother, one of which is the overall layout. So starting with the stereo controls, thank you Lexus for giving us rotary dials, knobs to use. Makes it so much easier. The heating, air conditioning, and seat controls for heating, all that is right up here, right by the clock. Very easy to get to. Much easier than a lot of other vehicles that this vehicle competes against. And then you have the 10.3-inch screen, which looks really good, but unfortunately, touch it all you want, nothing's gonna happen. And that's because you have to use this pad down here. I've complained about it before, I'll continue to complain about it because I think that this touchpad is difficult for a lot of drivers to use while they're in motion. And using this, which does have haptic control, so it will let you know when you've clicked over something, it's just, how do I put it? It's a pain in the neck. I love having an actual gear lever instead of buttons or a dial. I gotta tell you, it's just a personal thing. Not all of you would agree. But you know what else I like? The overall layout of the interior, I think, is quite good. It's a comfortable vehicle to drive, very comfortable. Now bear in mind that this uses nickel metal hydride batteries, and they have to be charged. Now you're wondering, hey, why not lithium ion? Well, Toyota and Lexus do use that, but primarily in their plug-in hybrids. This vehicle is using old school nickel metal hydride because Toyota loves them. They've been using them for years. According to Toyota and a lot of other experts out there, they are more robust, they are safer, and frankly speaking, less expensive. There are a lot of competitors that go directly against this vehicle that are both in the same or in a similar price gap and have similar, if not better, performance. One of the vehicles that I really like that's not a hybrid is the Acura RDX. It's still one of my favorites of the crossover segment, partially because it's just a really fun crossover to drive. However, this one is more efficient. So that's where the deal is, efficiency. Well, now you have companies coming out, including Volvo and BMW, among others, that are building vehicles that are hybrids, that are capable of outperforming this one. The bottom line is that even though it is a decent vehicle, I can still hear road noise, which isn't acceptable on something like this, frankly. And on top of that, it doesn't have a lot of oomph. So this isn't what I would call the fastest vehicle in its class. It's definitely not the quietest vehicle in its class. Fortunately, it still is very economical in terms of its gas mileage, and it's not painfully expensive to buy. All right, my friends, what are you paying for a vehicle like this? Well, this one's MSRP, as equipped, fully loaded, this is the luxury version of it, is $52,855, about $10,000 more than the UX we recently reviewed. That sits in the same ether as a lot of other vehicles it directly competes against. Now, there are a couple of reasons for that. First of all, this one starts at $46,500, but it does have the triple beam LED headlight system, which is $1,500. It has the navigation with the 10.3-inch screen, it's $1,000, etc., etc. The thing is, this is a great vehicle that should be a little bit better considering what's out there right now, considering what it has to go up against. Lexus needs to up their game. This vehicle needs to be significantly upgraded. Now here's the good news about that. They're doing that. We've actually seen some spy photos of the next generation NX. I think the problem is it should have come out this year. Still, it's a solid value. Thank you for joining me. For the Fast Lane Car, this is Nathan. I'll see you next time.